had this event called Carry the Love, and it's an event that me and my friends were praying about for a month straight because we just wanted to see God truly move on our campus and just students encounter Jesus in a way that they've never have before. And God is faithful, and He answered those prayers. And so at the event, we saw 8 people rededicate their lives to Jesus. We also saw 5 people get healed of physical and or mental ailments. And so one girl, her shoulder was hurting for a while. I think she dislocated it. When we all prayed for her, Jesus healed her completely, and she was able to bust out all these push-ups. Yeah, I'll just share the video right now.
Like feeling it more, like I'll wake up and it'll be like a little bit out, and I just like kept dislocating it and stuff. And like one of the things is like I can't do push-ups, and I know that's so stupid, but like whenever I go to the gym, like I always have to skip that part. And so when they prayed over me, I was like, can I go in the back and do a push-up? And she was like, yeah, for sure. And I came back and I was like, nah, like not happening, like still not doing push-ups. And then I came back and she like prayed over me again, and like literally like I busted out 10 so quick.
Can you want to
Yeah.
do a push-up?
And then the next day we went out, or the team went out sharing about the love of Jesus. And this one guy, someone had the opportunity to share the gospel with him, and he was so moved, and he had like tears in his eyes, and he accepted Jesus right there. And so it was like really awesome to be able to witness so many salvations and so many just dedications to the Lord. And then after that we just had a bunch of sweet times of worship and just again still encountering God. But I think during that week the Lord was showing me that I was striving and that I was still trying to take control of what He's trying to do on this campus. I have like my own plans, but His plans are so much better, and technically all of this has already been done because God is beyond time. And yeah, so there's like nothing even to worry about. God's will is going to be done on this campus, and we just get the privilege to just partner with Him and to just follow Him and serve Him and go where He's leading. Just something I've been imagining this week was just like literally Jesus just taking my hand, walking with me throughout the day, and I'm just like going where He's leading because Jesus is everywhere. Yeah, I don't know if I talked about this before, but if you're in ministry or if you're wanting to like do ministry, your ministry needs to be out of the overflow of the intimacy that you have with God. And I just can't emphasize that enough because we don't have it in our own strength to be able to love people the way Jesus did. We will get burnt out if we're not working out of the overflow. Yeah, so just it's so important to do quiet time every day. You can't compromise that time. And Jesus had quiet time with the Lord, so it's a good thing. So with that being said, today during our quiet time, honestly, I was rushing to get it in because I woke up late, but I knew I had to get it in because we were going to go do evangelism. And so I just kind of randomly opened my Bible. I end up reading the verse I was supposed to hear, Joshua 10:8. It says, "And the Lord said to Joshua, 'Do not fear them, for I have given them into your hands. Not a man of them shall stand before you.'" And then that reminded me of Joshua 1:5-9. And so it says, "Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall cause these people to inherit the land that I swore to their fathers to give them." And so those two verses just stood out because one, we don't have to be afraid when we do evangelism or even just face some fears because God is always with us. He already won the battle. He already defeated the enemy. He already knows the people who are going to be saved. And that's all going to happen whether we do it or whether we step into that or not, because God is the one who has the power to actually shift hearts. Yeah, so there's just no fear, there's no worries because the Lord has already made it happen. And again, we're just stepping into His plans and we're just stepping into His presence. And all we need to do is chase Jesus and chase His presence. Because when you do that, you're just going to find rest. Like, you're not going to have to strive to make sure that your ministry is flourishing. When you chase His presence, you forget about your worries. When you chase His presence, you find so much peace. And so literally all I'm doing is just running after Jesus, and everything is literally falling into place. And it's so amazing. And I just hope that you all get to experience the same peace and the same rest. One of my favorite verses is Romans 1:20, which says, "For His invisible attributes, namely His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world and the things that have been made." What I take out of this verse is that when we get to look around at nature, we get to look around at the mountains, at the sunrises and the sunsets, we get glimpses of God's eternal power and divine nature. Another revelation I had was that when we go out and do evangelism and share about Jesus, like, we get to be those manifestations of His glory. When you do outreach, you're not just doing the work that Christians should be doing. When you're doing evangelism, you should still be chasing after God, because God is pursuing each and every person on this earth, on this campus, and there's not a person who He's not pursuing, and there's not a person that's too far from His love. And so when you approach anyone, all we're doing is coming alongside Jesus in that moment, because Jesus is already pursuing their heart. And then we just get to be a physical manifestation of His glory and His love. I think that's enough preaching. But today during class, I also, another verse that I was reflecting on was Romans 1:16. It says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew and also to the Greek." And then I made this little graphic during class because I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. When I'm in class, all I'm still thinking about is Jesus. And I'm just like, God, like, I don't want to be here. But I know that wherever you're at, whatever God has given you, you need to be faithful in that. You need to be faithful in the little so that He can give you more. So I've just been trying to be faithful in the little. But so I think that's all for this vlog. And God is good. He's moving. He loves you. And that love was proven to you when God came down to earth as a little baby named Jesus, lived a perfect life, died an undeserved death on the cross. He received all the wrath of God so that now God can just pour out so much unconditional love for you. And so, gospel truth. Have a wonderful week. And I will see you next time. Oh, I almost forgot. I've been writing a lot, and so you can check out the revival project slow.org, and you can read my blog post. And if you want to get weekly email updates, you can also sign up on our homepage.